What's up, beautiful beings? Hello, hello. What's up, gang, gang? Ashe, namaste. You know, today I just decided to take a moment to breathe, and just take a moment to pause and reflect, right? So I'm a Scorpio, I'm a water sign, so I love reflecting a lot, right? Reflecting helps me grow because then I am able to, see where I could have improved, see where I could have done things differently, see where I can be a better version of myself, how I can come out looking better, So in this video, that's what we're going to be doing. It also healed me. It healed me and it brought me closer to myself, And let me just get a little bit deeper into that, how it humbled me. So we were illegally evicted, by the way, or attempted, beginning of this year. And I've never had a bond. I don't know anything about bonds. I think that I matriculated in 2016. So I'm part of the group that nobody really cared about. We didn't get career guidance. We didn't get opportunities. We didn't have a lot of things. There were specific students that were focused on depending on academics. And as much as I'm a smart person, and when Pasagahle, was in a science class, I didn't really understand the point of academics. I didn't understand the point of mathematics. I didn't understand why I am doing physics, but I was doing it because of this idea that if you have physical science, then you can be anything that you want. And I can attest that it's true, because physical science just explains the world in a scientific form, right? And it has calculations and all of that, which can also be taken into biology, computer science, and all of these things. So I understand the significance now, although I didn't then, because I was younger. So that's how so I was talking about the challenges, right? That I was humbled. I used to think that, just because you live in a nice area or the suburbs or whatever, that you're good. But I realized that a lot of people are going through a lot of things. People are going through evictions, people are going through unemployment, people are going through retrenchment. There's a lot. And I used to see myself, bigger than life, and I still do, but now it's in a more humbled way, Guti. I understand how it feels to not have at a ground level, at a root level, especially being in Soweto, and understanding the opportunities, Guti, as much as it can seem and a lot of people do get opportunities, don't get me wrong. How do they pull up? How's your relationship with God? How are you pulling up? You know what I mean? So that's when I realized a lot of people are going through a lot of things, and it's not just the moms, it's not just the dads, it's the kids, because unfortunately, kids are affected, and I've also seen how cruel people can be for the sake of money, and it's been very traumatic. But with God, we keep moving, because at the end of the day, God sustains us, And I would say that this year healed me in a way that I could never, take an advantage of, because there's so many things that we go through, especially when it comes to family, that you cannot just say out loud, and expose and all of these things, because you'll be seen as a bad person and all of these things. And I think I healed, especially when it comes to boundaries. I have more boundaries, especially when it comes to my mental health, my peace, and all of these things, because people will try. People try you. Like I said in my previous video, that people will umuntu uzosuka la suka khona, doesn't have to be ukusuka, but umuntu uzokusukela nje ayigubhi ngiyobisa emgodini nje isihlele, you know. So yes, that also healed me. I don't have to react sometimes. I don't have to respond. However, this year also brought me closer to myself. You know, I've never felt so connected with myself than I do now, you know, as a woman, as a mother, you know, as a wife, as a CEO, you know, like it has taught me how to love myself more, how to balance my time more, you know, and it's been great. You know, I'm happy to say that I am back to exercising. Like I'm exercising enthusiast, you know. Like before, I just want to tone everything up. I feel like I have, by God's grace, lost the baby weight, and yeah, here we are, tightening everything up because I used to look good without trying, you know. But I used to exercise even when I was like a teenager, you know, when I was like 13, I would run around. I love running too. I love running, you know, just that it's not safe anymore to run in these streets, you know, because people do be doing the most, you know. Can't trust these people. I trust the car, not the driver. So, and also as a CEO, I have grown so much, you know. However, we're going to talk about that too. So basically my healing, my journey, my spirit, and everything that I've been through this year has been the building blocks of, you know, who I am becoming. And Jesus is the cornerstone, you know, and the cornerstone has been very important, you know, because it also sets structure of how things should be. And I love the fact that the structure is rooted in Christ. So yeah, I'm excited. So session 1, healing. Okay, so I'm gonna dive into my healing process. I have written some notes down so that I can, you know, have someone to revert back on, you know, because sometimes I do, you know, find myself just talking because I'm a Gemini. I'm not a Gemini, I'm a Scorpio, Gemini rising. So ngiyakhuluma nje, ngiyagcina sengikhuluma ngezinye izinto ezingamela ngikhulume ngazo, sekumele manje ngizikhathe in the video. You know, so I'm gonna, you know, structure my talking, right? So when it comes to my healing, right, I sell crystals, I sell sages, I sell candles and all of these things, right? However, this year I have not touched a candle. I have not deliberately used a crystal. Like I would have it in my hand, but not like deliberately fetch a rose quartz crystal and, you know, attract love for the day. No, I haven't done that. And there were no retreats, right? We haven't started with the retreats, so there were no retreats, right? So we're starting this. We want to heal first before we go to the retreats, before we can buy them candles and all of that. We want to establish a healing process within ourselves, right? So this year was just full of accountability. Okay, accountability. I needed to account to myself, I needed to account to my husband, I needed to account to my kids. And because I had not learned accountability, that's one of the reasons we were almost illegally evicted. Because I have never, or especially when I started living with my husband. So what happened was, right, I stopped working, right. So when I get to a space, I dominate naturally. Like that's just my energy, and I don't try to do it, it just happens. And some people might not be comfortable with it, right? So a lot of people are not really comfortable with it. It's really if they're the boss, you know, because I have boss lady energy. People have been calling me ma'am or madam since I was a child. So yeah, this just is. So when I would get to a job, usually I would have to work by myself, or yeah, I don't know, but I ended up dominating when I was working, and I got a WhatsApp text saying that I shouldn't come back. So now I had to, you know, pack everything and move back with my mom, right? So I moved back with my mom. So when I met my husband, I was living back with my mom because I had just lost my job. So from then, I had not taken accountability of myself, right? Because I felt like I was restarting. I was not sure how I was going to do it. It's really education. It does not really allow you to expand and to explore and just try out new things and all of that. So then when I was like, okay, I'm enjoying it, Yeah, I asked myself that question a lot, and I'm grateful that God answers me all the time because, Anyway, so that's how basically it came about. I was not accountable for the last years, and I saw 3 years pass by, and now we are taking accountability, all right? So this year taught me how to be accountable for my time, how to be accountable for myself, how to be accountable for my mental health, and all of these things, because sometimes a lot of things will bombard you, and I realized that a lot of projects I did not see them through because I couldn't prioritize. So confrontation was also one of the things that I learned this year, right? That I needed to confront my emotions, I need to confront myself, I need to confront my fears, I need to confront basically everything, right? If I'm not happy with something, I need to confront it. I need to confront the person I'm not happy with, and just speak my mind the same way people speak their minds all the time, because sometimes when you're a sweet person, you're expected to not say too much, and then when you don't say too much, people feel like they can say whatever they want to say to you. So just standing your ground, and just also understanding that things that usually happen in the physical is because they have already happened in the spirit. It's just a physical manifestation, and trusting Nkulunkulu is the one that is going to hold you down in the spiritual realm, okay? Yes, I did say that I have my journal here, right? So I would ask myself things like, why am I reacting the way I am, right? So I had a lot of triggers, like a lot of things would trigger me. And I wouldn't realize that I was triggered until Jay is saying heated up, like I'm heated up, and I realized that I needed to realize why am I reacting like this? Why am I feeling like this? What is it? What is this emotion trying to tell me? What is this emotion trying to teach me about myself? Because it's never really about what the person is saying, but why are we talking about this? Why am I feeling like this? Why does it make me feel like this? So usually it's because my intuition is right. My intuition is just like, no. And I should not judge it. I should not judge it. I should not judge the fact that it does not make me feel good, and I should not judge the fact that I don't feel good. I should not be angry at the fact that I don't feel good, and just observe it and be like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not comfortable with it. I hear what you're saying, but I'm not happy with it. I hear what you say. However, this is how I feel. Okay, so how do we, and why am I still holding on to certain things? So those are one of the general prompts that I would use. Like, why am I still holding on to certain things, right? So this is a healing space. I'm also just, healer, right? As we healing together. Like, for example, why am I still holding on to that? And I was listening to Joe Dispenza yesterday, and he was talking about that sometimes it's easier to hold on to a feeling of the past than to hold on to a feeling of the future because it's foreign, right? However, a feeling of the past, which is betrayal and hurt and disappointment and all of these things, it's easier to embody. And yesterday my husband was like, as in, it's in here for now because it's really deep. It made me start thinking. It's like we come from darkness, all right? So if we come from darkness, that means that we need to be light. Like, we need to be light, but darkness comes naturally to us. And he was just like wondering, why is that? And he gave me an answer. But if you think you know the answer, say something in the comments. I think he would also like to know what you would think about that. So another part is, what part of me needs love today? So before I met my husband, right, I manifested love. I did not think that love was gonna come as a man. So when I was manifesting love from you guys on YouTube, I was like, oh, I hope they love me, I hope they like, subscribe, and all of these things. And love came in different forms. Love came in now God loving me in this form, right? So there's a couple of prayers that I did say. However, it's not about what I said, it's about a relationship with God, because I felt like God knows me so much that it shouldn't be hard for him to get me. I was like, you know me, you know my flaws, you know where I fumble, you know where I need assistance, you know where I need some help, where I need a hand, all of these things, and I'm gonna trust you. And I'm grateful that he pulled through. Okay. So part of healing this year was navigating anxiety, right? So as a mom, I don't have enough time to be anxious. I don't have enough time to be anxious. She is a boy mom, especially the younger one. The younger one is very fast. I don't have time to be anxious, right? So I had to navigate my anxiety. I couldn't be, I'm so anxious. No, you don't have time to be emotional, okay? So I had to also learn how to plan my days, all right? So I know on a specific day I'm doing the specific thing, and he's also good with routine. He's very so understanding. Like, he is so understanding if he knows what to do, and he knows also, oh, it's that day. So that's how I also learned how to navigate anxiety, right? And also prioritization. I also got a system management, so it basically helps me with when to do what, how, and how to plan it, and all of these things, because sometimes it's back-to-back meetings. I have to write meeting notes, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, and I have to be mom, full-time mom, by the way, 24/7. Yeah, so management. So motherhood also plays a role in that, right? Which is like also the emotional regulation. Sometimes you can get very frustrated from the work that you need to do. Sometimes you need to draft that proposal, you know what I mean? And you need to get it done. And attention. Or sometimes you need to email or whatever that you need to do. And then getting attention, and you can't forget what you wanted to write. Okay, you can't. Have to note it down, or you have to do it now. Okay, and I'd say, and also inner child realization. So I realized that a lot of things are my inner child realizations, right? Like, for example, crystals. I loved crystals since I was a child, and I remember taking money to go buy crystals as a child. And now that I'm older, I realize that I do not want to spend to feed my inner child, and to nurture my inner child. However, I want to love my inner child now, because sometimes we fight so much to get the money and all of these things, and then we neglect the healing process, the real healing process. And that's why we end up shopping and doing all of these things to, close a gap that we feel deep inside. So I've also learned to rest without feeling guilty, right? So I speak about this very a lot, right? Because it has also assisted me a lot, right? I never used to rest. I never used to rest. I used to feel guilty. That's why I would say that I never used to rest. Because even when I'm sleeping, I would feel guilty for not sleeping. Because I would look at the ultimate goal and want to do everything now. And I would feel like I don't have enough time. But you don't have enough time according to what? According to what? And sometimes you miss opportunities because you're thinking, 6 months, you want to and then that 6 months you can't do that without you actually doing anything, and you realize that, you actually missed an opportunity. So those are the things that I had to learn, Yeah. I also learned that I'm a Scorpio. I think this year I've learned to be a very, I wouldn't say I'm a Scorpio anymore, maybe, but I'm still a Scorpio. My star sign is a Scorpio. I think I've ascended into a phoenix, right? I've passed the eagle. I don't fly with eagles anymore. I'm what the phoenix, I exist, but I don't really exist. Hey, so I've learned that Scorpio is very deep, right? So yeah, you never see my depth. You never, unless you're on this channel, then you can get deeper into any topic, right? Not any topic, because yeah, I used to think roots in me deep until my husband started coding. Like sometimes I don't get it, yeah, but most of the time I get it. I'm learning, I'm constantly learning, it's really now since he's creating an amazing system that I'm gonna be talking about also on this channel, my biz manager. So this is where locals can go there, right? So I think it also takes from my experience. So when I was AUJ, I used to sell t-shirts, I sold sunglasses. I never living things, I was trying to make money because I was a single mom already and I needed to make some guap for them purposes. Okay, so yeah, I needed an inventory management system or something to manage my business. I needed to know what are my sales and all of these things. However, I didn't want a system that was already used by big corporates. I wanted to start small and all of that and scale as I go, and I realized that that's one of the reasons the business ended up failing, because I wasn't aware of the money that is coming in and the money that is coming out. Sometimes I'll end up spending on lunch and all of these things, and you never know what you're spending your money on. So it's like good with budgeting. Also, you can see your expenses, it gives you reports. It's really nice. So I'll link it in the description, but I need collab. Let's move on. So I have learned to also become softer, more grounded and more safe, like I am no longer in flight mode. Like I said, anxiety, I am shy as much, unless maybe it's my turn to speak, however I would manage it like a pro these days, singing manager like a pro, because I understand that it is my best friend, who is just there to remind me that I'm alive and I should be excited, okay? So healing in a nutshell did not change my life overnight. It's not an overnight thing. It basically changed how I think and who I am becoming every single day, right? So yes, so basically this is me sharing with you my inner thoughts and the things that I have written in my diary, okay? So yes, as I learn, I write down so that I can reflect every day, because the person that I was at that time, right, especially when I was not shooting, because when I was not shooting, I was also going through my own dark phase. Sometimes I would come here and smile and be like, hey, but deep down I was going through a transformation, and the transformation there allowed me to understand who I am now. It's not really about the ultimate goal, about the success. We've seen the celebrities. It's not really about the car. It's about your inner self. It's about the God within you wanting to express the highest version of itself. And we're gonna move into section 2. So section 2 is business, mahani. Business, because I'm a business lady. CEO. Okay. This year pushed me mentally, physically, and spiritually into places that I have never thought that I would be in, and I have prayed for. So we have the Alignment Holistic Center, right? So at first I thought this channel was going to be Alignment Holistic Center. However, I have also understood that Alignment Holistic Center is ministry. So this one is more of us chatting, learning and all of these things. So that distinguish at first was hard for me to distinguish between having my own personal brand and having a brand that can work and sustain itself, So those are one of the things that I learned this year when it comes to business. I've also learned when it came to building Indalo Robotics. So when people hear Indalo Robotics, they panic. Okay, they panic because they see the success that it is and the success that it is going to be and what its mission and vision is for. And most people feel like, oh, why did I think of that? Okay, let's work together, right? But I've learned with building Indalo Robotics that people will not really be happy for you, especially about IQ, you know. But it is what it is, because it was about an hour's of job later, so I don't really care, you know. Working with the youth has taught me a lot, you know. They're not really punctual, they don't time management and all of these things. Sometimes it's very difficult to work with the youth. And yeah, maybe that's why companies, you know, always look into someone who's more experienced, because they don't want to be like data all the time and all of these things, because anybody got time for them, especially if they're paying you. Okay, so however, I've learned they come with great ideas, they come with, you know, great vibes, good energy, yeah, youthful energy. And now creating this platform, right, and also understanding myself in such a way, how do I deliver myself, how do I deliver what I'm trying to say, you know, and how do I also be fun in the moment, okay, because I don't want to be always serious. Nobody got time for that. Nobody got time for that. Okay, clocking. Are you yeah. And this also helped me into developing my leadership style, right? So leadership style, I'd say that now being a mother means that you're managing the household. So how I manage the household, they say you can't manage a business if you can't manage, you know, your home. So I've learned to manage the home so much that people are individuals, and as individuals, how do you address individuals, and how do you take leadership in that, you know, how to communicate more effectively, you know, how do you set boundaries and all of that. So that comes also with fusing motherhood and being a CEO and, you know, leadership. So I've spoken, I think, about 2 nonprofits in this video, which is our Alignment Holistic Center and Indalo Robotics. And then we also have a private company called Tech. So yes, managing them has been very hard. I realized very early that I couldn't do 3 at once, right? Thank God for AI, because it makes a lot of things easier, right? So that was one of the things that were hard, managing all companies, because we have other companies that I won't talk about. You know, those are just the tech and holistic companies that we have. And it was hard, you know, because every company is like a baby. It needs attention, it needs, you know, nurturing, you know, you need to manage the business, manage the people and all of that, you know, and make sure that people, you know, multiply their talents, you know, people want to do more. I've also learned about partnerships, I've learned about money, you know. With some partnerships, they might look lucrative from far, you know. Some people just want to use you. Some people think because you're a nice person that you would be open to being exploited or things like that, you know. People will come with, or just because they come in with 30 million or whatever, then you're gonna lose your morals and, you know, leave everything. And it's just like, we're always looking at the long-term goal. We're out here trying to build generational wealth. Okay, we ain't got time to be doing izinto ezizoyenza ukuthi sigcine singasabona abantwana bethu, you know what I mean? So I also share the real moments that I felt overwhelmed, right? So I think I felt overwhelmed towards our 3rd annual festival. And you know, when people are deliberately trying to sabotage you, like they were literally trying to sabotage us, they're spreading lies, you know, coming up with fake evidence, you know. Luckily, I'm good at documentation. I am good at evidence. I'm a good private investigator. I am good at setting up strategies, like nje, yabon. So when they came with that, it was disappointing to see that we are doing something for the community, something for the youth. However, there's people who want to place themselves in the failure of it, and it was like very difficult, However, you live and learn, and I'd say those are one of the things that I would, some people would rather be those blocks that break everything just because they don't want to see something beautiful or great happen, unless they're positioned in a space where they can gain from it, which was very disappointing to see. There's people who think like that, and sometimes, but youth, I totally support, not youth, but no, they'll say that youth are the next, but it's because youth I totally support. You get there, there's gatekeeping. Gatekeeping is one of the things that I'm exposing on this channel, okay? If it means saying names, because I have the records to bring a lot of people down. But as a collab, people must just do the right thing for the youth and stop acting like the youth is useless. No, the youth, that's why I need that channel, because I want the youth to know what is really happening behind these closed doors. There's a lot of things that should be happening. There's a lot of development and improvements that should be happening. However, there's people in places that are deciding they're not gonna, So those are the moments I felt overwhelmed, where now I'm literally fighting people to get my voice across, to basically, have a moment, just one day, and you can't even run longer programs because people have a problem with you. But that was just one place, however, all is well. Okay, and then we're gonna go into the third section, which is faith. So when it comes to faith, I learned that God is not separate from my purpose. I and God want the same thing. Okay, we are in accordance. So anybody that has a problem with my purpose has a problem with God. Okay, clock that. B. Yeah, that. And I also learned that my ancestors work with me. My ancestors love me. I look like generations of ancestors. Like, I don't know. And I never used to like how my face was sitting, but I see my ancestors through myself, through my eyes, So yeah, I realized that they got my back, in all forms. And I also understood that my calling and my spiritual gifts are part of my purpose, right? So the companies that we have started and the companies that we are still going to start, it's a spiritual calling. So it's not like just ideas, it's God-driven energy. It's God-driven purpose. And I also understood that my marriage is ministry. So when I met my husband, he told me that he is a pastor. And I was like, what? I remember that day, like my whole mood changed, and I don't know what he was thinking, but he told me what he was thinking, but at that time I didn't know what he was thinking. However, I was just thinking to myself, because I grew up being a spiritual hand and devoted and all of these things, and being one day, that's why I wanted to preach on a Sunday, because being is born, having a church one day. And then when he said that, he triggered my inner child that wanted to be Umafundisi, and that inner child was like 9 years. And I had to heal all of that, because I felt like that was stolen from me, and I had to get it back, and I felt like he was giving me back. So I understand how my marriage is also a ministry and a healing process and healing, and all of that. So it's very good to also have someone who you can heal with, and if you don't, I got you, we're in this together. Okay. So my pain was part of preparation, and faith carried me. Faith in always, especially on days where I didn't have a plan, I didn't have a plan. We'll see, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? You know what I mean? And as a mom, it's difficult, actually, in this life to not have a plan, but I realized that faith, just saying, God, I trust in you. And then, isn't the religion, you know what I mean? Like Namanji last week, I was like, God, I can't be wearing a toque every day, man. Can you please do my hair? And God was like, I got you, bro. Before He gives you a lot. In a nutshell, prayer saved me. Prayer taught me how to surrender more, and I started singing more. Like, I surrender to you, everything I give to you. Yes, so I'm seeing more. You know what I mean? I'm surrendering more. I'm loving God more. I'm having a relationship with God more. Section 4 is, who am I becoming? I'm becoming a resilient woman. I'm becoming a resourceful woman. I am becoming a Proverbs 31 woman. Okay. I am becoming a woman of God. I'm becoming the princess of God. I'm becoming the queen of God's castle. Okay. Because, queen. I am a queen. I was just thinking about it the other day, as in, if for me South Africa, but I'm grateful that now we have a platform where we can have young upcoming princesses that will take up the stage, because I have daughters myself. So yeah, I have a lot of kids, guys. So yes, in a nutshell, I'm becoming more softer, I'm becoming more grounded, I'm becoming more nurtured, I'm becoming more loving, I'm becoming more skilled, more aligned, more patient, more grateful, more ambitious. You know what I mean? And basically, yeah, just allowing myself to want the things that I want, without feeling guilty. And if anybody has a problem with that, they better, go argue with your fridge. You know what I mean? Like, go do that. Go do something. Sure, you know what I mean? In a nutshell, I'm ready to expand. I'm confident in my spirituality. I'm confident in myself. I'm confident in where I am going. I'm confident in where God has put me. I'm confident in God's path, and yeah, I love the relationship that I have. I love the relationship that I have with God. I love, and it translates into the relationship that I have with my husband, with my father, with my boys, with my girls. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm happy. Life keeps getting magical, and I'm excited to share every part with you guys so that we can evolve together. And as I learn, I will teach. So thank you so much for being part of my journey, for letting me in ear and just listening to me rampage and all of these things. I really enjoy being here, and it motivates me and it makes me feel good to see you view, and and subscribe. It makes me feel great. It makes me feel good. It makes me really feel good. I'm not gonna lie. It makes me really good. So yeah. Keep a little energy flowing, going, you know what I mean? But anyway, stay beautiful, stay blessed, and I'll see you in the other video. Bye.